Hi, I'm Kevin from Craft Gardens. Today we're going to talk about general care instructions for your houseplants. Now, one of the most important things in selecting your houseplants is knowing the conditions that these plants are going to be put in as far as light intensity goes. Plants vary widely in the amount of light intensity that they require. Now, when you go to the store, you're going to be able to find a plant tag, and on the back of the tag, it's going to tell you light, and it's going to say a high light or bright light or a medium light or low light. Now, what this means is that when they say they want a bright light for an indoor plant, they're talking about a plant that you can put next to a window. When they say a medium light, it's a plant that's kind of away from a window. It's not into the dark interior of your house. And when it's low light, these plants basically can live on artificial light, basically inside your home. Now, when we grow these plants for indoor uses, we try and simulate what it would be in nature, and we put up shade cloths at different intensities to grow these plants under a shade factor, so that your plants would be ready for the interior environment when you receive them. Now, typically, plants that have brightness and color, for instance, this croton or coleus or a flowering plant, they're the products that are going to most likely need a really bright light condition. When I say bright light, again, that's by a window, that could be on a patio, and even like the succulent could take a full sun type environment as well. So that would be your bright light conditions. Plants like pothos and ferns and sansevierias, they'll take the lower light conditions in your home. So selecting the right environment first for your plant is one of the first steps in being successful in growing your plants. Sometimes you don't have adequate light in a room. You can use artificial light. Fluorescent lights, a cool white light works well. And so you can leave that fluorescent light on. It doesn't use a lot of energy, and you can leave that light on, say, for 8 or 10, 12 hours for that plant, and that'll, in a low light plant or a medium light plant, that could be sufficient for that plant to live. So even if you have a room without windows, by leaving that light on will be enough to give you that nice environment for the plant to survive. Now, typically, for temperature in your home is a very nice, comfortable level for these tropical plants. Between 60 and 75 degrees is what you're going to see on most tags as a generality. Some plants can take shorter bursts of a little cold weather, and some plants can take hotter weather. A croton or a succulent like this could take 85, 90 degrees. Where dracaenas, they like it more on the cooler side. They could take it down even to the 40s for a short period of time. But basically, if you're comfortable in your home, then these plants are going to be comfortable as well. When you think about these plants in the wintertime and you put them in your home, if they're next to a door that goes out to the outside and it's cold outside, that cold draft could come in to that plant and actually injure your plant. So when placing your plant, think in terms of keeping away from these drafts of heater vents blowing hot air on them, or cold air getting pulled in from the outside into your plant. These plants like a nice stable environment, and again, not too hot and not too cold. The problem with the regulating the temperature, so in the winter you're going to have your heat on, and it's going to reduce the amount of humidity in your room. Therefore, these plants are going to start requiring more water. Just like if we were in a low humidity environment, we'd want to drink more water as well. So what you can do is elevate these plants or put them all together in an area, and the humidity from one plant will actually help the humidity for the plant next to it. Or you could elevate them and put them in a tray of maybe elevate them on some rocks, put some water in the tray underneath it. As long as it's not sitting in water, that extra humidity could come up and add humidity and make a little microenvironment around your plant. Okay, now that you've selected the plant for the right environment and you know where it goes in your home, the next biggest factor in how to keep these plants in a survival mode is the proper watering of the plant. So if we can put them in the right place and water them correctly, more than likely you're going to be pretty darn successful with these plants. Now, people ask me, how much water do I put on them? How often do I water them? And really, I'm going to give you some simple, basic guidelines that you can follow that will make it easier for you to make those watering decisions. Okay, first of all, watering plants is more of a scientific type method, and it doesn't have to do with your personality or you have a green thumb or no green thumb. Basically, it's just paying attention to the plant. And what we recommend that you do is basically just check the plant for moisture. Now, there's different ways of doing that. And one of the simplest ways I like to do it is you just pick the plant up and it feels heavy because water weighs a lot of weight, then it probably has enough moisture. If it feels very light, then it's probably going to be needing water. Another simple method is taking your finger, plunging it into the media, and if it feels moist, then it probably doesn't need water. If it feels dry, you can go ahead and water it at that time. Another method that works for a lot of people is they actually purchase a moisture meter. And you can take the moisture meter and you can put it halfway down in the plant, and it's going to register and tell you if it's moist or ready for watering or not. The big question is, how much water do I put on these plants? Well, typically what we do is we recommend that when it's time to water the plant, is to water the plant thoroughly. And what that means is you're going to add water to this product until you see water coming out the bottom of the container. And when that happens, then you're being assured that this plant is being watered all the way down. If you water frequently, just little bits of water on the top of the plant, the roots that are down the bottom will tend to dry out, and it may appear to be wet on top, but then your whole plant won't be watered thoroughly. Now, you never want to let them set in water, so typically a lot of people are going to have a tray. They're going to put their plant in the tray. They're going to water it. The water will come down to the tray, and when you can come back later, take the plant out, dump the tray, put the plant back in, and you probably have a sufficient amount of water for your plant. But don't let them sit in there for any length of time, because a saturated soil will take all the oxygen out of the soil, and roots need oxygen to survive as well. Now, plants that are leafy like this pothos or like this aglaonema, they have a lot of leaf surface, so they can tend to use more water. You're going to water these again very thoroughly, and then you can come back. I like to check mine about once a week and see if they need water. And typically what I find, though, it's about every 2 weeks I end up giving them a nice thorough watering when I go to water these plants. Not all plants have the same kind of soil in the container, and it varies from different growers. So that's something you're going to have to get used to when you get your plant. And sometimes too, that when you buy these plants, they can become very root bound. For instance, I brought this as an example. This is a grass, but you can see how many roots are on this plant. Therefore, there's a lot less soil in here. So at that point, you'd be ready to put it in a little bigger container, and always use a good sterilized media when you repot these plants. Now, to keep your plants looking healthy and shiny, what we recommend to you is it's basically, you can take a spray hose. If you see dust forming on the plant, you can just take it into the shower or take one of your sprayers off the sink and just spray the plant over real nice. If you find some insects, that'll help. You can wash them off with that. If it's really dirty, you can even use a mild soap, like Ivory soap is okay to use on a 2 teaspoons per gallon basis, just to kind of clean up your foliage and wash it off. But nothing harsher than that is to have a clean plant. Now, as far as fertilization of your houseplants typically don't grow very fast because they're in this lower light environment and so forth. So we recommend that you fertilize using a liquid fertilizer formulation, like a triple 20 type fertilizer, Miracle Grow or Peters type fertilizer, every 2 to 3 months. Now, as far as trimming your indoor plant, typically as plants grow, they tend to throw off some of the older leaves off the plant. So you can take a nice sharp pair of scissors or a nice sharp trimmer, and you can go through and trim these dead leaves off the plant. And some of the plants are going to be growing very rapidly in the perfect condition, and you may want to trim those so the plant can stay full and nice. Now, for more detailed information on specific plants and trimming, Craft Gardens has a channel on YouTube where you can get more information on individual plants on how to trim and care specifically for those particular plants. Remember, these are clean air machines, so you can breathe easier. Thank you.